Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another nice night with the American Ricci Mahjong League. Our broadcaster tonight is Nathaniel, and I am joined. Of course, wow, it's been so long. I forgot I need to introduce myself. I am Tucker, aka Ennui, and I am joined tonight by Eric, who's done a lot of broadcasts recently. How are you doing, Eric?
Pretty good. I'm not tired tonight, which is great. I'm probably gonna not miss as many obvious things. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I literally dove out of my car after driving back to Tennessee from North Carolina. So I've got
Wow.
a lot of energy and I need to move myself. So I this might be another fall out of the chair night, especially with these players. We've seen a lot of very exciting action from them, especially Rachel over the course of the season.
Right, and we have a lot of contention among these bottom places now. They're all towards the bottom of the group. We see Kristaps and Ash. They're both in the demotion zone currently, I believe, if I'm reading this correctly. And then Rachel and Andres are close to there. So these are very significant games for all four players. Of course, Rachel and Andres are not wanting to drop even a single spot more. And then Kristaps and Ash are going to try and take advantage of this matchup to pull ahead.
Yeah, right now Sarah is the first demotion spot as we get into this game.
Yeah, and it looks like we have Ash as the first dealer, and their hand is looking kind of okay. It has potential. I mean, you have the potential Pinizu Itzu, you have the Dora 1, maybe even Sancho if you draw 1-2 mon. Over on the right, we kind of have much of the same. A lot of connected shapes and potential for Pinfu and Ricci. You can pick up the Dora. Across the way, we have our first Yakuhai pair of the game, and lots of good shapes all around. I believe this is Ishanten now, though calling the Yakuai would just put you back into Ishanten. And then over on the... Oh no, it would put you into Tenpai, I'm reading that wrong. And then over on the left, also kind of a fast hand, already 2 Shanten, with a pair of the Dora.
Yeah, the Dora being the two dealer's hand here has improved substantially since you made that first comment about it not looking very great to start.
Absolutely, definite shape upgrades. Decides not to keep the 5 so. I'm probably figuring that with 2 complete shapes, and the 4-6 mon being easy to tack on something to either side, like the 3 mon and the 7 mon, is happy to Sakikiri the 5. So again, and interestingly, so it decides to discard the double east. It's been once discarded as well, but decides not to greed for that. Instead, keeps the non-cut Haku.
Oh, and that pays off. Draw me right as you say that. Draws the second one.
And now is in Ishanten for a Ricci Dora one hand. Of course, you don't get Pinfu with this. Well, actually, just gets Tenpai. Con 5 mon. Decides to Dama here. What do you think about that Dama?
I
Eats.
wonder whether Ash is considering still the possibility of calling pawn on the Haku. Although with two Richis now,
Eats.
that's a much different proposition. Yeah, it's now just gonna chase.
Yeah, chases. And that 5 mon is safe to 1 Ricci, so if Kristaps is desperate, might come out, but seems to have a path to fold for now.
So all of our Richis around the table. So Ash the dealer has called Ricci with just Ricci Dora 1 rating on the 5 mon. Across the table, Andre has Ricci. Oh, that's the 5 mon's gonna be the first one that comes out. Like you said, it was safe.
Ricci Dora no error for 39. And yeah, Andres actually had a Ricci Nomi, but it was a good weight and it was pretty early, so it seemed
And
fine to
Rachel
take.
had Dora 2. So there was a lot going on at that table. We didn't even make it to Rachel's hand, really.
And look at this dealer starting hand, already fantastic. You have 2 sticky tiles with the 4 mon and the 6 so, and you can even stick something to the 9 or the 1 as well. It's
When
just
you
in great shape.
when you call a tile a sticky tile, what exactly do you mean? Just that it can accept a lot of good shapes, or is it something more specific than that?
Absolutely. When you have a tile that's kind of by itself or can be disconnected from a group, and specifically when it's a middle tile, we call that a sticky tile because there's a lot of tiles that can stick to it and form another group. You might also hear commentators call this a kutsuki, which does mean sticky. And in a situation where you have a sticky tile and you need a group, we call that sticky ishanten or kutsuki ishanten. In the meantime, the dealer has just completely accelerated here, and we see Ash taking a quick 3 mon Penchan Ricci. Unfortunately, it's completely dead. though there is a chance for it to come out from the right from Kristaps if the hand progresses in a certain way, because there's one 3-mon kind of hanging there for now.
Do you think Kristops's hand would yield the push necessary to bring that 3-mon out?
I was going to say, with that 1-mon draw, maybe not, but decides not to take the Ishanten there. And it does get another Ishanten that can pull Yakuhai, and it does come out, unfortunately. But it is Richinomi for 2,000, plus the repeat, so 2,300, and gets the Richi stick back. This is kind of... This is...
8 unique Terminals and Honors.
Yeah, it's one short, not that we can abort anyway, so it's kind of iffy, but because you have the Yakuhai pair, you're happy. And you can maybe call this down for Chanta with the right draws. Over on the right, though, we see action immediately with the 9-so pawn. Has the Atozuke Ton pair, could even move towards Toy Toy if you draw another pair there. So there's some backup, and you have the lone Dora Chun. Across the way, we're in Pairland, 3 pairs so far, and not a whole lot else going on with the hand value-wise. And then over on the left, we have a potential 3-4-5. Sanshoku, Tanya, Pinfu, draws the 5-mon. That's great.
What do you think about the 7-mon discard?
I think it's fine because you're probably greeting for the Dora a tiny bit longer, but you can also discard Dora there, or... Yeah, one of those two probably. Maybe even 1-pin.
Oh yeah, 1-pin would have been interesting, keeping Tanya open. I am obviously a much more conservative player than Rachel is, but with the 3-4-5 Sanshoku possibility, Tanya possibility, I feel like I would have just dropped the Dora early there.
Yeah, it seems like a reasonable move to me as well. Across the way, we see a pawn of the 6-so moves into Ishanten for Tanya, and can pawn 3 ways for that, and chi the 7-mon as well into Tenpai. We actually see an interesting decision from Kristaps on the right. Decides not to keep that 7-pin twice in a row, even though it can accept the 6-9 pin. Probably just doesn't want to drop the Dora, though it has once discarded by the dealer now. So I might consider that.
Well, and we also see that the Easts are now Mochi Mochi. Ash has picked up a pair of Easts, so we have the lockup between Ash and Kristaps, but Ash has the obvious advantage with the Haku already being called.
And you say that, but then all of a sudden, 2 calls into Toy Toy Tenpai. And I was going to mention that Kristaps dropped a 3-4-5 completed group to accept a pair and move back in Shanten, but did guarantee a Yaku like that. However, it is only a wait on the 4-pin for now, because we see the Easts, like you said, and the 4-pin is dead.
Yeah, that was pretty wild acceleration. I mean, I think those 2 calls came in 2 consecutive discards from opponents. The 7-so from Ash, which got pawned, a discard, and then the 8-pin from Andre across the table.
And now, normally, you wouldn't consider the 7-so such a good tile for Toy Toy, but because there is that kind of early 6-so pawn, the 7-so is a little more isolated, so it's hard for people to use. Even if they have the final 6-so, they're probably only going to use 1 copy of it, and in this case, that's exactly what happened, and the 7-so came right out.
We had talked about the 3-4-5 Sanshoku possibility on the left, but Rachel's hand has grown in a really wild way. That's headless Ishanten, is it?
Well, I guess we will never find out, because there's a sumo across the table for Tanya. And that dashes the other 3 players' dreams. So we go into Kristaps' dealership here. Still no heavy pull aheads. I mean, you do have Ash, and they took a 7,500 on their dealership, which isn't too shabby. But not far enough ahead, like we've seen in some of these previous games, to decide the game right off the bat. So looking at this dealer hand, I mean, what are you thinking here? You think that Sanshoku is too slow? Kristaps seems to think so and dropped the 9-so there.
Yeah, the 7-8-9 Sanshoku is always really rough when you're dependent on the pin Chana. It just has so little flexibility. I mean, a 4-5-6 Sanshoku maybe even looks better at this point.
In this case, that's an interesting cut as well with the 4-pin. Decides to, I guess, preemptively Suji trap the Penchon? Oh, just draws it. Perfect. And yeah, that 6 pin is committed as a pair now. So now you have a good shape 2 Shanten, and if you had that 9, so now you had the chance for 789 Sanchoku, but you couldn't have known that.
Well,
Meanwhile, one important thing to note is that the Dora was east, but Kristaps discarded it on the first turn despite it being double east. I thought that was an interesting decision. I'm not sure if that was just not seeing it or if the hand was good at the time. Kind of got caught up in the details.
well, it's interesting too. Kristaps has been really resistant to discarding dragons specifically as far as Yakuhai goes.
Yeah. Oh, we have Tenpai on the right, actually. Adama on the 4, so from Andres.
There is no Yakuhai currently, right? Or no
Yeah,
Yakuhai.
no Yaku. Maybe fishing for Tanyo. Sorry, fishing for Pinfu or Itsu upgrades. Maybe not so trustworthy as before. So wait, in this case, would be correct because there's just they're all gone. Can't draw it yourself. But Toyman has advanced the hand significantly with those 2 calls, and that'll give Rachel a nice advantage here. The hand still is 2 Shanten though, surprisingly. Though it has decent shapes. Can call here again, and does so. And actually, what do you think about that 4-mon discard? Because that's one of those sticky tiles we were talking about earlier. A lot of tiles can go together with it, but you have the 2-mon in the discards as well, so there's Furuten. Oh,
yeah, this is what I was gonna say. This is my thought on the 4-mon discard. I think she's aiming for a West Hunky, which is what happened. Now we have 2 Richis though.
Yeah, 2 Richis. It's gonna be tough. At some point, you're gonna have to push a dangerous tile, and in this case, is saved by the fact that the other Ricci deals in for Ricci Pinfu. So the upgrade did come for Andres, and he took the Ricci then. No E2 upgrade, but happy to take a pin for Ricci. And just like that, we move along. Andres' hand here immediately with the 5/6/7 Sanchoku chance, and doesn't discard the 1 so first because that is the Dora this round. And actually, if we go the opposite way and look left, there is a pair of the Dora there, though the hand is really disjointed at the moment. When you have a hand like that, I mean, at least my plan is usually to just hold Yakuhai along and try and accelerate it. Do you have any particular ideas for this hand Yaku-wise?
Not especially with none of the Yakuhai, although the Mon draws are really helping. Just getting a more efficient shape makes me a lot more desirous of, maybe picking 1 or 2 Yakuhai and then discarding all of the terminals and hoping stuff sticks together.
Yeah, I agree there. The dealer here has found their pair, is Ishan 10, and decides to cut away the Ipeiko, which actually leaves a Ryankan in the lower Sozu, a 1-3-5 shape here. We'll probably Suji trap the 2 Soate since the 1 So is the Dora, but you still have to draw that difficult 7 pin first.
Oh, I was curious if the 4-mon is such an interesting thing to draw. And we do see though on the left, Kristaps pulled in the pair of Haku and is kind of happily going what might be Atazuke right now, although like we've seen before, this could easily shift into a Toy Toy.
Right, and this isn't to ignore the other 2 hands either. Across the way, I believe we have a 3 Shanten hand, and then over to the right, we have a much faster hand here. It is 2 Shanten, and it can accept quite a lot of tiles to move forward, but actually decides to... Oh, it's still 2 Shanten, I think. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just really surprised by the 9-mon discard. I was trying to figure it out.
Yeah, probably considering moving towards Chi Toy for some value there. Otherwise, the hand doesn't have any value, but the dealer Ricci comes in first, waiting on the 7 pin. It's going to be a Ricci Nomi, unfortunately, because of the way it filled. And that's going to give the Dora Pone to Kristaps on the left, so suddenly, very scary hand to have Ricci'd on with one of the 7 pin out already.
Although Kristaps is doing a little dance around that dealer Ricci, discarded away from that 4/5 So shape because
and to be honest,
was safe.
It backfires immediately. To be honest, I don't like that because you have 3 Dora. I don't care if you're Azuzuke. You just go ahead because the deal at Ricci isn't going to be that bad. You see actually all 4 Dora since I believe the turn after that came out. But we have a chase across the table on 1 4-mon, a much better weight here. However, 4-mon Anko, so I take that back. They're both pretty equally as bad. I think it's 2 versus 2.
And we did see Rachel. Rachel drew the one mon the first turn after that Ricci and really thought about it. Oh, but the 17 comes into
Right.
Andres' hand.
And Kristaps had drawn it the previous hand, decided, okay, I'm not going to push that, so I'll push the 4-pin instead, and then the final copy just got drawn into Andres' hand. So we have a Ricci Sumo, and unfortunately I was too distracted to see if there's anything else there. But that does boost him up to 37,700 and takes the lead. So here...
Oh, we're just in East 3, and I already feel like... I mean, we've had 2 or 3 Riccis or 3 Tempais on every single hand so far. It's been absolutely wild.
Absolutely. There's very, very little backing down here, and it's understandable. Everyone wants to win this game. No one really has incentive to just sit there and do nothing. Even Rachel, with the minus 77, can't really just sit still because a couple bad results for her, and you could easily swap places with one of the other two. Even with such a gap, and that's the power of being in the same game with someone who you want to take their place from, because you basically do double the damage with direct hits to them, rank point wise, or I guess with the Uma and the final score. Sorry.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's where the positional round is very fascinating in A1, A2, and B1. But look at this dealer hand that Andres has put together. Oh, got the Sanshoku now! Draws the 7-mon right as we come to it, and it's going Dama waiting on the 2-mon on the 4-pin.
Now this would be Sanshoku no Mi. So I'm not sure. Maybe you just reach immediately waiting on the Shabo.
No.
But because he has the 4-pin, maybe thinks that he can draw something around. Unfortunately, this has to take the 39 here, which isn't bad. As a non-dealer, you're happy to settle for 3 Han, and that's a 3 Han open non-dealer hand. So you just take that.
Well,
maybe.
Well, I do wonder whether, like you were saying, the 4-pin, there were so many. Well, not so many. I guess there were 3 tiles that could be drawn to give Ryeonmin weights there that would make that a Mongon hand, but well, this... do you push for Chanta with this hand, or just the Haku, possibly Dora 1 with the 4-mon?
It's tricky because of that Dora, I think, and you have the nice Ryeonmin shape as well. It does seem to be pretty hard committing to the Haku now, though. I feel like if you're going for Chanta, you might even cut the 4-mon. But yeah, I don't know. Chanta is 1 Han, and Dora is 1 Han, so... Oh, okay, there we see, yeah, is going to try and force the Dora in and just go for the Haku Tozuke.
Rachel, though, already has the Yakuhai, having called the seat wind south, and also has the Dora pretty well fit into the hand, just needs to draw into that 4-5 Ryeonmin shape in the Manzu.
Yeah, and
that would actually
Ishanten
make
now.
the Senpai as well, yeah.
Yeah, that would be a nasty Sha Tanki, though we see 2 on the left already, unfortunately. Looking across the way, we also have a fast Ishanten, and this is a sticky Ishanten that we were talking about earlier. If anything binds to the 3-pin or the 8-so, or you draw the Chun, you're in Tenpai there.
Oh, Rachel actually switched the Tenpai, went away from the Sha Tanki that we were talking about, and is now waiting on 4-so, 7-so. Yeah, and the 4-so would give Sanshoku as well.
Right, yeah, on top of being just a wider weight, the 4-so does give the Sanshoku, like you said, so a value boost will bring this up to a possible 3 Han on the 4-so. 2 of those left in the wall, and 1 7-so left. Oh, there's that 7-so. Kind of awkward for Kristaps' hand to have those overlapping shapes, but at the moment, those are the only blocks that the hand has, so that might not come out for a while.
Ooh, now we have the Sumagiri Ricci from Ash, and we've talked a lot about the Sumagiri Riccis recently, I feel, and this is just for the 7-so, and that's probably why the Sumagiri was there. And that's also why we've heard, I believe it was Thorak not long ago. Oh, the 4-so is going to come out first.
Yeah, and that'll be the Sanshoku side, so Sanshoku non-Dora. That
brings Rachel above 30k.
It does. So we have 2 people above 30k now, but Ash is really not far behind. But they only have 2,700 points to make up. That's really easy to do, and we're still only in East 4 despite all the action so far. But yeah, as you were saying before, the Sumagiri Ricci, a little bit of an odd choice there because there's already a Suji trap set, so I think if you're going to go for it, just go for it. I know Korak is definitely not a fan of that, and neither am I. Just looking around the table here, it's the hand on the left that kind of attracts a bit of attention because of the 2 Dora in the hand. Could go for Chanta and call that way. Maybe even hoping to pair up the north, though it is once dropped now. Does get a nice fill there with the 1, 2, 3. And then, of course, the dealer hand here with the double tone pair that can be easily called.
I have a question about the 3-peen drop there from Andres. And that
Right.
1-peen is kind of the root of the question there. You have this hand that can go towards Chanta, it can go towards Sanchoku, but it's a slow hand and you have 2 Dora, so you really want to call it in some way. What prompts you to drop the 3-peen instead of the 9-so?
I'm actually not sure. I think I like the 3-pin a lot more than the 9-so for the reasons you said. You can get the Sanchoku, it's just a better tile for forming sequences in general, and it still fits in Chanta, even if the 9-so is guaranteed to make a weight that works in the Chanta. You could even just drop the north that's been once dropped and keep both of them for max efficiency. And actually, we see a drop of the 7-mon there as well. Does not accept 3 pairs, so I don't think we're going to see a Chi-Toy shift either. And in the meantime, while we're having that little discussion, dealer has drawn into the double tone pair, and we see a pawn of the south on the left decides, okay, time to go forward for that Chanta. It can call the 9-mon, and then would have to call the 1-mon, the 2-mon, or I guess now the 9-so.
Yeah, that was an excellent draw. That 9-so finally coming in, and then we have the 5-6-7 Chi on the right as well for Ash. Oh, but there's the Tenpai waiting on the Dora and the 9-so. Ooh,
and that's going to give this
Chanta Dora 1 or 2,
or 3 actually.
3.
Yeah,
that's right. I can count, I promise.
If you get the 1-mon, then you have a Mangan there, which is quite nice. And if you get the 9-so, you're happy to take a 3-han hand as well and kick the dealership out and extend your lead just a little bit further. And it looks like the hand on the right would easily drop that 9-so. Of course, we have the dealer Tenpai now could switch to a Furiten Ryanmen, but
I feel like I'd almost prefer the Furiten Ryanmen to the 1-peen 4-mon Shabo, with the 1-peen being totally dead. We see him in the discard.
And it's gonna deal in here.
Yeah, it is! Oh, that's a Mangan! That's gonna drop Rachel right back below 30k!
Yeah, Chanta Dora 3. Alright, and that was hard to justify keeping as well because he had the 3-mon pawn from earlier, so it doesn't really work in, and you'd have to break Tenpai, and then it's hard to get back into Tenpai's deal, and you have the double tones, so that discard seemed okay. Just unfortunate that Chanta happened to be there waiting for it. Alright, so we move into South 1, and we have 3 players below 30k. Once again, Rachel and Ash not too far, and really Kristaps not terribly far as well. Mangan will immediately put them over, but it's really Andres' game here. Managed to capitalize on its small lead from before and make it flourish.
And Ash, as dealer, really close to 30k. Also, Ishanten already decided to. Oh, and there's the 5-mon, so can now get rid of that 8-9 pinch on, and now this is an absolutely fantastic Ishanten. You'd really love to get to Tenpai on like the 6-peen, so that you would have Tanyao Pinfu.
Yeah, that would be the ideal draw here. And looking around, there's only 1 6-pin in another player's hand for now. You can even accept the Dora 1-pin if need be, and that will extend your weights and guarantee a Pinfu, though you won't get the Tanya anymore. But that is a guaranteed good weight and a Pinfu, so it seems worth it. Yeah, especially since the Dora just replaces the value.
Yeah, Tanyao and Dora are worth the same. Oh, were they considering calling Chi on the 3-mon there? Oh, has Tenpai.
That was definitely an option, but holding off for 1 turn has gotten into Tenpai like that. And Ash, we've seen this a lot. Ash has personally told us that they absolutely hate Kanchan Richis, and so this is most certainly why we're seeing the Dama here.
Oh, but that could have been great. With the 2-pin draw, you can call Ricci discarding the 8-pin, and then you have your Pinfu waiting on the 6-pin and the 9-pin.
Yeah, I don't get that. I think that's just an oversight there, just narrowing in on that Tanya a bit too much. Could have just taken the Ricci there. Would have been good value and a good weight.
As it is, the 6-pin flows into Kristaps' hand, calls Ricci waiting on the 4-so and 6-so. No Pinfu there, so just Ricci Dora 2.
There was a slight chance. Oh, there's the 9-pin. That would have been Ritsumo Pinfu. Oh, there's another 6-pin. So there's only one left.
Sumo.
But it's the 7-so that comes in first. So we have Ricci, Sumo, Dora 2 for Mangan, and that's going to be that Mangan we were just talking about. Deals back a 30k position and shoves Ash down. So unfortunately, yeah, that oversight with that good switch to Pinfu that you noticed ended up costing Ash that hand.
Yeah, and that's really unfortunate. You hate to see your last dealership go like that, but it's still very close. A Mangan Sumo is still second place and above 30k.
Going into this hand, we have the dealer starting with a Yakuhai pair of the south and kind of mediocre shapes everywhere else, but does have a lone door in the hand. Over on the right, we kind of have a very average hand. It's going to need a lot of work to get anywhere. Across the way, have potential 1-3 Ipeiko in Manzu, and kind of decent Ryanman chips. Could get 3-4-5 Sanshoku as well, especially with that 5-pin draw. And lastly, on the left, we have a lot in Sozu going on. Could get an Ipeiko there, could call for a Toy, but as is, has the Ishanten for Chi-Toy.
It's always awkward when you complete one of your shapes while you're going for Chi-Toy, because really that 8-mon is, well, guys, the Dora indicator tile, so maybe not. I was just about to say, 2s and 8s tend to be better Chi-Toy tiles than 3s and 4s, since 3s and 4s are so useful in other people's hands.
Yeah. So I think if you draw into a triplet of any of the 9-pin 1-so or 7-so, you definitely take the Ishanten for a normal hand and the possibility for 2-3-4 or a 3-4-5 Ipeiko.
Oh, we see Kristaps, the dealer here, just drew their 4th pair.
And then looking all around the table, at least 3 players have very pair-heavy hands. And even Rachel across the way has that kind of Ipeiko with the pairs locked in, and has drawn another pair now. So this might be what some players call a Toitsubar, a pair-based round, where a lot of people are going for pair hands, and sometimes they kind of cancel each other out and make it hard to complete normal hands.
And we see Kristaps taking the Atazuke, or potential Atazuke. Again, there could be another Toy shift, which he's seen a couple times.
Yeah, this seems to be an ongoing theme, where there's an Atazuke, but there's also a Toy lurking in the background.
And if you're gonna go Atazuke, I feel like having that second Yaku option makes the Atazuke call a lot stronger.
So across the way, we have a potential shift back to the 3-4-5 Sanshoku. And does that, guarantees that the 3-4-5 is locked in by dropping the 1-2-mon, which is a little hard to see at a glance. But that extra 3-pin has become the pair now, which is quite nice. So Rachel is kind of the only hand here that's not fighting with pairs too much. Though on the right we have an Ishanten as well, waiting for 2-pin 2-so, 3-so, and 7-so.
Well, and as we get into the last 10 tiles here, Ash just keeps drawing Sozu.
Now, as dealer here, you want to keep your dealership, so you're probably even considering calling just the 4-7-so at this point.
There's the 3-4-5 Sanshoku Tenpai across the table for Rachel. Sorry to interrupt you there. Didn't want to miss that.
No problem. I mean, this is a fantastic Tenpai because you're guaranteed Tanya on one side and Dora on the other, and there's 3 Dora toss, so people might just haphazardly push it in here. Oh, but it's a Sumo! Reach Sumo Pinfu Tanya. Oh, sorry, not Ricci. It would be nice, but this is a manga for Sumo Pinfu Sanshoku Tanya.
Yeah, the Ricci actually would have made that Hanuman, and Rachel back over 30k.
Yeah, so a welcome change. We go into South 3 here, and it's Andres with the deal and the lead. Immediately gives up that 9, so in favor of keeping that east there seems like an okay decision to me. I'm not really thinking too much about the 7-8-9 Sanshouku, especially while in the lead already. Over on the right, we have a pair of west, a couple of lone Yakuhai there, would obviously want to double south if possible, and has 3 pairs, might even consider Chitoi. Across the way, though, we have Ash drawing into a Yakuhai Anko of the Chun, and has the ability to accept Dora, or even move this towards a Sozu Honitsu, though it seems unlikely now with this Ryanman draw. And then lastly, over on the left, we have a Dora 2 pair of the 4-pin, though the hand is still going to need a lot of work. Currently looking like something you could only reach unless one of those Yakuhai pair up, or you can shift towards Tanya by crashing the 8-9 man Penshun. So I guess
Andres has, oh, there it is. I was just about to say, Andres has some beautiful shapes in hand, but is still lacking a 5th block. And right as I opened my mouth, the 2-pin came in, and now we have a wonderful Ishanten.
So now this is a blessing and a curse, because yeah, you have that really, really nice Ishanten, but you see 3 of the 1-pin already, and then the other side is the Dora, so you really want to draw the Dora yourself first so you can reach in the 4-7, especially with all those early Sozu discards. But it's going to be hard to do, because we can see that there's only 3 left in the wall. Still, a dealer reach on the 1-4 pin would be quite commanding here. However, it's Tenpai across the way for Ash, waiting for 4-7 mon. And we see 5 of those, so there's still 3 left in the wall.
So if you're Rachel, how reticent are you to drop the south, seeing that pawn of 9-so already? Oh, there's the 4-pin, just like you said!
That's the ideal draw here. Oh, but just the sumo right afterwards on one of the final 7 mon. And we have a Yakuhai only.
Well, a Yakuhai plus Ricci stick. So that Ricci stick, unfortunately for Andres and fortunately for Ash, basically doubled the value of that Yakuhai hand.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's still going to leave Ash in last place, but well within range of 3rd, and with 6,200 points, can take a 30k finish.
We're just going to have a quick refresh here.
Yeah, the usual nonsense. But yeah, difficult situation here.
A general question for you. So we talk about average time to Tenpai, which is something you might be worried about if you're worried about someone being Dama, or open hands being ready, or if you don't see any Dora, that sort of thing. What about average time to, say, 2 Shanten or 1 Shanten? Like, if it's turn 7 and you're still 2 Shanten or 3 Shanten, are you thinking about folding at that point?
For me, it depends on the hand value and the shapes, because not all 2 Shanten or 3 Shanten are equal. Obviously, if you have Kanchan, 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 that's not as good as Sanmenchen, Ryanmen, or something like that. So yeah, it depends on the hand and the situation. Very, very situational for me. And it's harder to say things about what the average 2 Shanten and 3 Shanten are, because that's a little bit more dependent on the starting hand, I guess. And like, the further you progress in Shanten, the more limited your hand becomes, and the slower it gets. So I feel like it's yeah, I might be completely wrong on this, but it's probably easiest to calculate the average E Shanten as opposed to 2 Shanten and 3 Shanten. I'm sure there's stats somewhere. It looks like we have the kind of empty field of death here, leaving us in suspense for a little while.
Yeah, I believe part of the issue, and thank you for answering that off the cuff question while we waited for Tenho to load. The match ended a little bit before that reload, and I think that's part of what caused the problems here. So when we did the refresh, I don't think we're going to be able to get back into that game. Since it has already ended, though, we can tell you how it finished up, just in case we're not able to get. I don't believe we're going to be able to get into it here.
We might even be able to look at the log. Seems like that's what's going on right now.
So I'll keep that in my back pocket just in case. Oh, hello, Firefox. Yeah, there have been a lot of issues with Tenho lately, but honestly, it is worth it. Like because is hosting a tournament in Tenho free? Is do you have to pay to like host these lobbies or
I think it's free. I don't remember ever recalling any kind of cost around it, and you can customize the rules quite easily.
there's a lot more you're able to do in Tenho than you're able to do in say like Mahjong Soul. And Mahjong Soul like it's not super expensive, but the restrictions there make it a little bit rougher to run things in. If you're someone who runs tournaments, something to think about.
Right. All right, looks like we have that log opening up here. And we have the All Last dealership. I'm trying to remember who this is.
This is Rachel that we're sitting behind. I
Okay.
remember thinking that Rachel is final dealer
Oh,
in. So we're sitting behind Rachel. South is Ash. And does that make Kristaps west and Andres north?
yeah, and Andres just takes a quick win here with the double Yakuhai pawns. It was just a hand that was blessed from the start and is able to take that quick run and win and secure the first place. So that's going to end with him in first, and I'm already struggling with the R again. I'm sorry about that. Um,
Well, that was kind of unfortunate for Ash because Ash was set up, had a hand that you only needed a couple thousand points to take third, which would have been huge for Ash, but unfortunately just had the 4 pin and 7 pin and was kind of fated to deal in almost it
right.
seems.
Okay, there we have the names, and just to recap this. Oh, this is East 2? Is this the next game?
Yes, we have missed the first hand just while everything was getting back up and running.
All right, you can see the standings in the chat right now. Thank you so much, Korak. Andres took a plus 26 first. We had Rachel with a small plus 5.6, which is welcome. Kristaps with minus 9.1, and Ash with minus 23. So really, it's Rachel and Andres are going to escape a little bit further, and Kristaps and Ash are going to sink just a tiny bit more as well, making these next few games very critical. So yeah, we start off with a dealership from Kristaps, who's on our right currently. Does take that second west there, and we have a Tenpai on the 3-so for Honitsu only. So you have the opportunity to pawn the Chun and discard the 2-so to upgrade to a 147 weight, I think.
We do have at the same time that is going on, we have a Ricci on the left from Rachel, Shanpon waiting on the 1-mon, 2-mon, and that's Ricci only.
Yeah, it's Ricci only here. It still has 3 tiles left, surprisingly. Oh, and we have a pawn from the dealer moving to the 2-5-so weight, which isn't necessarily that much better, but might see I was gonna say we might see the last 2-so come out if people think it's safe, but it's actually already in Rachel's hand at the moment. And that Chi's gonna shift the draw, and Rachel's gonna sumo that. Ricci sumo? No, we're a 500, 1,000. Alright, we move on to Ash's dealership here. What do you think about this starting hand for the dealer?
Anytime I see an Unco, I always start off really excited, and we do have the Ryamen 3-4-mon, but we'd really like to draw around the 6-8-8 and the 3-5-so shapes that we could get ourselves a fifth block and be a little bit more efficient.
Right, and this is a hand that, at least to me, looks like something that you try and maneuver into Tanya or Yakuhai. Unfortunately, the East was killed off very quick by the other players, and this is something that you see quite often. If you can't use the East as a pair in the beginning, you kill it off because it's worth double to the dealer. Over on the right, we have a 2-Shanten that has an overflow of pairs here, but can pawn the Yakuhai south. Across the way, we have one of those souths there, might come out soon. But the hand is kind of underdeveloped at the moment. Not a lot of value to be had there yet, though that 4-pin draw is nice. And then lastly, to the left, we have a single of the Dora Chun, but has paired up the Haku now, so that Chun comes right out.
and has 6 blocks, so it's going to have to cut a whole nother block on top of cutting that Chun. Considered calling the 1-2-3 chi when the 2-mon came out, but is just going to cut that whole block instead and stay close. Oh, Rachel just entered Tenpai. Is that a San Minchan?
That is a Sanmenchan, you're completely right, but cannot win on the 9-so because there's no guaranteed Yaku. Actually decided to cut the south pair for the chance for Tanyao since it was a higher chance than drawing the last south or pawning it.
Oh, being Tenpai waiting in the Sozu, what do you think about that Katagiri of the 6-mon?
It could be a little bit deceptive. I don't think it makes a huge difference since we've just kind of entered the second row, but if people are paying attention after one call, then it could trick them a little bit. Still, players are probably going to continue to push, and like we saw in this case, it just comes straight out. So we move into Rachel's dealership here after that quick win. A lot of pairs with this hand can pawn the Hatsu. Over on the right, though, that is something to be reckoned with. We already have 2 Dora 3-so and is, I think, 2 Shanten with the Haku Anko, which is a beautiful draw. Do we see the pawn here?
Chi.
Or the Chi? It does take the Chi.
Yeah, that's an interesting decision. How do you weigh the pawn versus the chi in that situation?
I'm honestly not too sure. Just out of instinct, I would have taken the Chi. Sorry, I would have taken the pawn because I like double-sided weight. So if I end up on that, I'm happy. And like we saw here, you can't draw the 4-pin into Tenpai anymore with the Chi, whereas with the pawn you can. So that kind of backfired a tiny bit here. But this 1-pin might come straight out, and back into Tenpai on the 3-6 pin for Haku Dora 2.
And the 6-pin immediately comes out of Kristaps' hand. Had just entered Tenpai, waiting on the 3-mon and 6-mon for a Tanyao possible Apeiko, and unfortunately dealt right in.
Yeah, that was 100% the right move there, though. Actually, 3-so Dora and Anko starts with another pair of it. A deja vu. Unfortunately, no Haku Anko this time, and kind of a slower hand, but happy to see the Dora there. It's over on the right with Kristaps' hand that we see the fast south pawn into Ishan 10. Would be south only at the moment. And then across the way, I'm trying to read that Sozu shape over there. I think it is Ishan 10, yeah.
Yeah, the best draw I think would be the Dora 3-so, because then you would also have Pinfu discarding the 3-pin, waiting on the 5-so and 8-so.
Absolutely. Over on the left, though, we see a Pinzu Honitsu build from Rachel who has the Kakuhai Anko. And right out with the Dora. Doesn't care for it. Dealer actually skips that pawn because it's really hard to maneuver this into anything else. The Tori is just too difficult.
Kang.
And has actually passed up both of those pairs there.
Ah! Oh, and then
Ricci
waiting on the Dora 3-so. So we have a Ricci waiting on the Dora 3-so. The 1-pin is the new Dora, which very much helps out Rachel, whose Honitsu was in pin and already had a pair. And then Kristaps is waiting on the 3-mon and 6-so.
They're both kind of very mediocre weights at the moment. We see there's 1 3-so left and 2 6-so left. Sorry, 2 3-mon left. Katagiri is that. That's interesting. I think I probably would have liked to just drop the 3-mon and take the better weight, waiting on Ricci Genbutsu, but we didn't feel like pushing that 3-mon.
Yeah, the 5-mon is totally safe to Ash's Ricci.
Right. Now, if you're considering kind of discard logic, the 5-mon being so early makes it a little less like that. You're waiting on the 3-6-mon or like a 3-mon Kanchan. Oh, unfortunately it backfires there. But it was a safer move. And this 4-mon is safe as well, so that comes out. But since it is actually like, if you're watching the discard order of this player, there's only been a couple Sumagiris. Sorry, a couple Tadashi tiles, so that 5-mon might have been connected to something. But it's rewarded the turn after, despite the backfire. Takes that Tanyao. Wait, not Tanyao, the south wind. Sorry, I'm kind of jumping all over the place from here.
Yeah,
These hands are
it
quite
was double
fast.
south, it being the seat
Boom.
and the prevalent winds. That was a nice little two-hot hand there for Kristaps.
And this is a hand where I'm very tempted to go for Chinitsu, or at the very least, Honitsu Ipeiko.
If the Tumon comes out early, which it wouldn't from that shape, I assume from Andres, would you call it?
Yeah, absolutely. I would take the Chi there. And then that 4-4-5-6-6 seems a little bit limiting. Like you can only get the 5, but you can very easily tack on something else to the 4 or the 6 on top of just drawing the 5 yourself and move forward with that hand.
Boom.
As it stands, though, now, Kristaps probably hedging between that and a normal hand. And with these two Yakuhai calls, probably won't have enough time to think about Chinitsu too hard. Already has the lead anyway.
Have you been watching the way Ash's hand developed there on the right? Because there were some interesting decisions made kind of in sequence there before that pawn, after the pawn.
I was focused a little bit too much on the... Yeah, I see what you meant there. Turn down the Ishanten with that 5-mon drop.
Boom.
In favor of keeping these kind of... I feel like something jumped there and I missed it.
We just teleported into the future!
Okay, I'm glad it wasn't just me not paying attention there. There's a little bit of jumping there. Let me just say, small connection error. But yeah, Ash did win that hand there. And Kristaps was not able to capitalize on that dealership.
Yeah, and this is a great time to be dealer. I mean, a Mankan Sumo would put you in second and drop 2 other people below 30k. So even though you're at 17,000, which often feels horrible, I was there very recently in my own demotion matches, like, this is not a horrible place, as horrible as it originally seems. Ash very much can make this up quickly as dealer.
And Ash kind of has to make this up quickly as dealer, because if you take a last place here with a minus 198 in the scores, you're pretty much guaranteed a demotion spot, unfortunately. This hand has potential to become fast with a like a Yakuhai pair, but not really seeing a whole lot other than that, and just some nice draws. Like if you draw the 8-pin and then you draw to fill the 3-mon or the 5-mon, then you're happy. This helps a little bit.
Even with that good draw, it still seems like basically everyone else at the table has more opportunities, like the Haku there. Whoa, excuse me.
Bless you.
I'm allergic to Yakuhai hands. That is my bad. I am so sorry. I should have cleared that up before I came in. Forgot some allergy shots. That is Haku only so far, although it could become a Honitsu.
Rachel is allergic to Ricci, does not choose to Ricci on that 3-pin Kanchan, waits a turn and gets rewarded with the Ipeiko. But decides to just take the Suji Trap Karigiri Ricci, kind of sneaky there. Now the 3-pin Suji Trap isn't too great. Just like we were discussing earlier, a 3-pin, like 3s and 7s as Suji are pretty unreliable because they deal into Penchans and Kanchans still. And there's 2 of them locked up in Andres' hand at the moment. Ash kind of just has to continue pushing here, and indeed does push that 2-pin. With the 5 or 8-mon would be Tenpai, and this actually expands to the 2, 5, 8-mon and 6-mon, I believe. But decides to switch to the Kutsuki Ishanten, where you can accept anything around the 7-mon or the 5-pin, and actually even the 8-pin.
Oh, and now we have Tenpai on the left for Kristaps, waiting on the 7-mon and Tuso.
And good point brought up by Korak now. You could have cheated that 6-mon as the dealer, pawned it, and got into Tenpai on the 5-8-pin, but decided to pass that. And now that 7-mon is kind of stuck in the hand.
Oh no, and it's gonna deal in right now. That was a Tanyao Pinfu Ricci Tenpai there, but the 7-mon now dealing in.
Yeah, and unfortunately that was because the dealer also passed Tenpai there. Ash did not want to take the Kanchan Ricci on the 8-mon. I believe there's 1 drop, maybe 2. I wasn't paying too much attention. And that ended up causing the deal in, even though the upgrade was reached. Sometimes you just gotta go for it. So unfortunately, that might solidify Ash's placement in last here. could sneak into second place with a direct hit on the dealer, but seems unlikely.
Yeah,
Especially with the
Mongoth
dealer's
Direct
hand.
or Hanuman Sumo. Either one would do it.
Like, the dealer's hand here is just too fast for that. And
Although,
that,
is it as fast as Kristaps' hand?
yeah, and Kristaps over there, very happy to just take whatever being in the lead.
Each.
Alright, advancing to Ishanten. And now Tenpai with those 2 pawns.
Yeah, and then we had the Ricci from Andres on the right, waiting on the 2-peen and 5-peen.
And this is Ricci pin Fudora 2 at the minimum, but can get Ipeko with the 2-pin, so fantastic hand. And Tenpai across the way for Honi to Toy Toy. 4-6-0.
And then the 4-peen and 7-peen, of course, dealing into Rachel.
Yeah, so 3-way Tenpai right now. Ash the only person not in the lead. Oh, the 2-pin.
The
Painful.
2-pin came into Kristaps' hand. That's going to switch placement. Actually,
Absolutely.
not only placement with the Oradora, that's going to drop Kristaps below 30k. Oh,
Really
that's a
unfortunate hit
massive
there.
hit.
Without the Uradora, you would have been saved a little bit of the pain, but now everyone takes a negative except for Andres, who is at plus 35. Rachel has a minus 0.1, not too bad. We have Kristaps with a minus 5.7 due to that deal, and then lastly, Ash with the minus 29.3 in dire straits going into these final 2 games.
And with the Uma shift, because of 3 people dropping below 30k, that Hanuman Ron was actually better than a Baimon, since you got 5,000 from the Uma. So you could think of it as a 17,000 Ron instead of a 12,000.
And now Andres feeling a lot safer in that position. Minus 43 versus the 4th place in demotion zone, which is minus 125. So has a little bit of wiggle room now. Though a lot of the other players still haven't played their other games, so that's not necessarily true. Now, we have no idea whether these players are going to continue playing those games or not.
They have started their 3rd game, because that game, I'm told, was 16 minutes long.
Wow, that is a Tompu-sen right there. You see, we were struggling a little bit to keep up. It was just such fast-paced play, and then the multiple Tenpais making every hand finish very soon.
And there were no repeats.
No repeats there. We had a few visions into the future, which was also kind of fun there. We'll see if things have stabilized in this next game. We're going to have Kristaps as the first dealer, followed up by Rachel as south. West is going to be Andres, and we're going to have Ash as north player. And similar to yesterday, we might see Ash implying more desperate tactics now. Unfortunately, I feel like the lack of Richis on bad weights has been hurting their game. There were a few chances where it ended up backfiring quite badly, but at the same time, they were cheap hands, so yeah. Anyways, we do have the game starting here. Dealer's hand looks like something they aim for pinful. You want to draw the 3-mon, give yourself that Tanya chance. There are some shifts into 3, 4, 5 Sancho, though it's unlikely. Over on the right, kind of a mishmash for now. Has 3 pairs and does farm a Ryanman there, which helps the hand out quite a lot. Toyman across the way, kind of similar there. Can accept the 8 Sodora. And then over on the left, Ash has a really nice hand here, which is Ishanten waiting for the 4-pin or the 3-so. And I feel like if Ash gets Tenpai, it's probably just going to be a Dama on either of these weights. Of course, might just take the 3-pin Ricci if you get the 3-so first, because that will be a Nakasuji trap with the 3-pin and the 9-pin dropped, and that might incentivize taking a bad weight Ricci for Ash, who normally avoids them like hellfire.
Yeah, Nakasuji traps, I feel like, tend to be much more successful than your typical Suji trap.
Especially against these players. These players know what Nakasuji are. Like, if you try to make a Nakasuji trap in Silver Room on Mahjong Soul, it's not going to have any effect because no one knows what it is, but against skilled opponents and people who know what they're doing, it becomes a very valuable tactic. We have a Ricci across the table. It is a Ricci Nomi waiting on the 7-pin, but it is the first Ricci to completion, so it is always intimidating. 1 7-pin out, and 1 in Ash's hand, leaving 2 in the wall.
And this is one of those hands where I feel like Andres would rather not have Ricci this hand more than likely. It's, but you just can't really upgrade that hand very easily. The pinch-ons are really hard to maneuver around.
Right, and even if you take the Sean Pony here on the 9 pin and the 2 pin. It's not great because there's already 2 of those dropped, so it'd just be 2 tiles left. Now you could technically try and wait around for something like an Itsu upgrade, but it's so unlikely at this point, and there's not really anything
Riichi.
else the hand can do to improve easily, so that Riichi seems okay. But we have a
Oh.
chase on the 9 Sotanki, Riichi Ipeiko.
Well, the 9 Sotanki looking a lot better with 3 of the Dora 8 So being dropped.
Absolutely, though as the Riichi tile, you're
Yeet.
always going to be a little bit more suspicious about
Don't.
the 9 So, but it's the 7 pin that deals in first as soon as Ash gets Tenpai on that 3 So.
And did you actually point out the Junchan as well? Junchan Ipeiko?
Oh yeah, that was it. I was really only thinking about the fact that the 2 Ace Stones were dropped, so the Doratangi is quite bad. But yeah, the Junchan Ipeiko would have been beautiful there. See, this is why it is good to have 2 people commentating. We don't miss
It's
obvious
also
things like that.
it's also kind of a shame that there's so much fireworks at this table because we don't even really have all that much time to bask in the light of any of the amazing things that are going on here because someone runs before we've noticed 2 Riichis that have happened.
Home.
Dealer double tone pony here moves into Ishan 10. Once again, another fast hand waiting for the 2
Home.
5-mon or 3 pin to get into Tenpai. Over on the left, we have a pawn of the Yakuhai also moving into, well, actually into 2 Shanten here. Could have called that 4-pin pair. Would lose the only pair in the hand currently,
Home.
though. A June pawn to the right. Everyone just speeding really fast here. Moves into Ishanten on the 5-8-mon and 2 5-pin. And then across the way, the slowest hand, unfortunately,
Chi.
is Ashes with no value and kind of awkward shapes. Tenpai on the right for 5-8.
And that will be tune only. Oh, and there's a second 5-mon, although keeping it as a pair, so that's going to help Kristaps not deal in for now.
Yeah, locks in the good 3-4 pin Byanmen.
Oh,
Interesting.
Reaping.
I don't really understand that one too much. Maybe thinking about the Nakasuji Shabo and committing to it, but that seems like a little bit of an odd choice. Because you and
Gee.
then the discard of the Tumon there as well. I'm not really getting it.
And honestly, right now, I would be very scared because if anything, Andres' hand looks
Home.
like a Honitsu, but the
Oh,
Tuso is going to deal into Rachel
Yeah.
before that hand can finish.
Yeah. Rachel got into Tenpai on that Tumon Chi because Kristaps decided not to keep it as a pair, despite kind of isolating it in the hand and keeping it for some reason. But that ends up, getting Rachel the Renchan. It's a cheap hand, but you take whatever you can get as dealer. So this hand isn't quite as fast as the last one. 3 pairs and no Dora yet, but did get that nice 6-0 there. Over on the right though, Yakuhai Anko ready to speed ahead and is Ishan 10 already. God, you really can't just look away for a second here. Across the way, 2 Shanten, no, sorry, 3 Shanten, and then over on the left, kind of a rough hand, can get 7-8-9 Sanshoku, but it looks like the other hands are just going to be way too fast for that.
With Andres' hand
Kang.
on the right, Khan! Yes, absolutely. Do you, especially with that Khan now, which makes the Hatsu Dora, which is a non-concern as 3 are already discarded, would you want to open that hand, or would you, since it's so wide, would you just wait around so that you could reach it for more value?
So if you reach your best weight here is going to be 3-4-7 pin. Yeah, I don't know. This is tricky. I feel like I definitely take the 3-pin Chi. Andres is in a position, especially after those last 2 games, where he doesn't really have to worry that much about value. I'm not sure entirely where the playoffs are for this certain section, but you can definitely aim higher. Yeah, I'm not sure how much of a difference it'll make here.
Yeah, Andres is, if we were thinking about promotion, which would be the only other thing to consider, I suppose, to promote into A2, the bottom line currently looks like it's at 53.3. So that's still 90 away from Andres. So, like you said, value probably isn't going to be the huge concern. You just kind of want to get through things intact.
In the meantime, Dealer has drawn into a nice Ishanten here for Pinfu, possibly Pinfu Dora 1, and of course 2 chances if you call Riichi with this hand. And then across the way, we have a move into Ishanten. Though it is somewhat narrow, only waiting for the 2 So, 5 So, and 9 So to get into Tenpai. I think definitely now, though, as Andres, you're considering just calling into Tenpai when you can. Just because it's kind of getting late in the hand, you have a guaranteed Yaku, especially if you can get the 3-sided weight. You know, interesting move from Ash there. Rejected the upgrade to an Ishan 10 with a 678, 678 potential in favor of keeping a Tushan 10 for Chitoy. Not sure if that's just an oversight or if the plan is indeed Chitoy there. I kind of would have liked to keep that 8 mana around, and even if you're focused on Chitoy, you can discard the 6, so
7、
yeah, not really sure. 3-pin does get cheat here though, so that answers our question, and a 2-5 so is the first weight on the table to
Cheat.
Empire.
Yeah, and we see 5 in people's hands, none on the table yet. So still 3 in the wall there for Andres.
So,
Oh, that 6 is a great draw for Kristaps.
right. Unfortunately, though, because of this 8-mon drop earlier, even though Ash is Ishan 10, it's kind of an awkward one-away. And now this 4-mon draw does afford you the ability to drop the 7-mon into a non-Furutan weight. We might actually even see that here.
Is really considering it. Throws the 6 though instead.
I guess considering that it's a safe tile to the player who conned and then called, is more comfortable with that. Unfortunately, if Rachel's hand gets into Tenpai here, that 5-so will probably get tossed unless the rest is drawn. But it's the 2-so that comes up first from Kristaps with that nice Ishan 10. Unfortunately, deals into the Yakuhai Chun, and the Fu will make that into a 2,000 point hand. Honor Oncon, a close con of honor, is quite powerful for Fu. It awards 32 to a hand.
And since you round up for any food calculation, that over doubles the just initial starting value of a typical Fu of a Mahjong hand.
Yeah, so that's going to jump from a hand that's normally around 1,000 to a hand that is 2,000. It basically just gives it another Han. Quite powerful.
And Rachel here has already made 2 calls. Got a pawn of her sequin to the north and has cheated the 2-3-4. Just trying to end this hand quickly. Has an Ishan 10. Just needs something either near the Chun or the 4-so.
Actually, this is interesting. We saw this before where Rachel kept the Yakuhai single tile, perhaps aiming to Tanki on it. Unfortunately now, though, it's kind of bad. And actually, it was bad earlier as well, but it might just be as a safe tile. Yeah, it seems like that was the case. 2-5-so wait on the left for Pei Nomi. The door is the Hawk. Currently, only Toyman Kristaps has one.
It's not necessarily pay only. On the 2-so, that would also be a 2-3-4 Sanchoku.
Oh, absolutely. I completely overlooked that there, but it's a fast run on the right.
The 8-pin Tanki on the right!
Yeah, and that's going to be a Ton Nomi. Lots of Nomi hands, or hands that are 2 Han here when speeding along. Look at this dealer hand, though. It's you just sit back here and you take your Ishan 10 and you're just like, okay, this hand plays itself. So we're going to immediately focus over on the right. Well, it's not impressive as the dealer hand, but it does have a door Ryanman. It's really a hand across that I'm interested in, because you can call this really hard to do now. No one really wants to fold this early, even against a dealer Ricci, because there's just no information, and Rachel will be incentivized to push this on something like the East pawn. Passes the North pawn for now, though. Doesn't guarantee Yaku. And it probably doesn't feel like that justifies shoving tiles against the dealer. Interestingly, is happy to shove the 3-so, though. As well as 5-so, so...
Really looks just willing to push kind of anything out of this hand.
So that kind of surprises me.
No information.
Because I feel like if you're willing to push those things, you're probably willing to pull that north and move into Ishanten, even if it's out of Zuke. But draws it herself.
Perhaps she just knew it was coming.
Sometimes you have a feeling.
Unfortunately for Ash, though, we see all of the 8-mon are paired up in hands, and then 2 of the 5-mon are also in hands. So only 2 tiles left on the wall for this incredible third turn Ricci, and there's one of them, and it immediately comes out. So Ash is going to get it for the Ricci Pin Futanyao. No Uro.
Classic trio of Yaku there. Mentan Pin. Love to see it. And another nice starting hand as dealer here can get the double tone, starts with a Pate Uncle, has another pair with the 5-mon, which is also a potential run, and a lot of sticky toss into Pinzu and Sozu.
A
Over-
quick clarification question. You called that
Hum.
last hand Min Tan Pin, but isn't Min like closed for sumo?
Yeah, so that's interesting. A lot of players just tend to shortcut a Ricci hand as Min, because it's closed. You can also call it Ritan Pin. I feel like I hear that a little bit less, though.
No, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly why we use that turn over re more often. Maybe it just rolls off the tongue a little bit better. If anyone in chat knows, do be sure to let us.
Someone before you
and-
were even able to say it did say Ritan Ping in the chat. Ash is now tempai for the 7-mon.
Yeah, like I think when do I usually hear like Menpini Patsumo, for example. You hear quite a lot
Kang.
over Ripini Patsumo. Maybe it's just a little bit more awkward to say. At least for me it is. Oh, we have a Khan. Khan
Yeah.
of the North from Ash. And this is a very justified Khan, because you need that value. You got a high roll here. It is your first dealership. Unfortunately, it does not scrape any value from that Khan. And the hand doesn't really have any way to gain value other than drawing the 5-so.
You could dream of drawing the 5-mon and then ending up with the other East hasn't been discarded. You could still get Sankansu here. You could believe.
That is true. Though now, that's not going to happen anymore.
Yeah, it's taking the Champagne way.
Oh.
And immediately the 5-mon comes into Kristaps' hand. And then the 6-mon coming into Rachel's, although Rachel can use it.
Yeah, and Kristaps decides to dump a penchant to keep it despite having dropped the 4-mon earlier. Probably pretty scared of the dealer right now and wants to play around. Started with the 8-mon for that reason since it was safe. Well, this East is safe also.
Oh, there.
Hum.
Oh, throwing away the 8 there.
Jump.
Could have kept the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shape and discarded one of the Rionmans, but instead, Kristaps is going to eventually deal in with that 5.
Yeah, so that weight change does end up paying out there. Alright, Ash's dealership again has the 8-mon door in hand. Relatively fast hand, but needs a little... Oh, there you go. That's going to help out. Now you just want to draw the Dora, and your Ishanten for a nice Dora 2 hand. Over on the right, a lot of pairs, 4 pairs there. Could go for Chitoy, but it's Toyman who makes the first move with the Hakupon. And Rachel's hand is kind of mediocre, but can now open to call, which is a huge advantage. Lastly, over on the left, we have what looks to be the workings of a something that's probably going to be Ricci Pinfu. Could work in the 8-mon Dora, though it's going to make it difficult to complete shape. A little bit of a pause on that 9, so what do you think the consideration was?
Well, the East seemed like a pretty good drop at that point with 2 East already being discarded. The 9-so does... It is kind of tricky because you have the pair of 3-mon in hand, but I feel like this is just generally going to be good. I don't really see why you might consider throwing away the 9-so instead of the East.
Alright. Actually, just slight correction there. I think the East was only once dropped at that point due to the way the calls were made and the fact that Ash is dealer. So it might have been a decision between keeping the once cut East and trying to get double East or keeping the efficient 9-so. But knowing Ash, it seems like just going for the efficient play is the normal choice here. And does move into Ishanten as a result, waiting for 2-mon or 1 4-so. And really, it's a scary, scary Dora opponent across the way with that Yakuhai showing now.
Because you never know, like, with the Yakuhai and then the Dora Pon, with that Haku there, they can be waiting on absolutely anything. You can't use you can't use what they've called to try and suss out what they might be waiting on pretty much at all.
Yeah, and
Yeet.
it's interesting because in this situation, you'd be scared usually about them being Tempai. But Rachel is still Ishan 10 despite all of those middle tile drops. Unfortunately, did back on the 3-4-5 pin, but no way you could have known that was going to come around. And Dealer gets Tenpai waiting on the 2-mon. We have an uncharacteristic Richi Nomi wait from Ash waiting on the 1-drop 2-mon, but you gotta take it. Everything has to become a Richi here if you can take it.
Yeah, and Rachel was Tenpai waiting on the 5-mon, but has switched up her weight on the 6-mon and 8-pin, having drawn the 4-mon, which is Nakatsuji, to Ash's Richi.
Yeah. Decides not to switch to the Furitan Ranman. I think that's quite justified when you're fighting a Richi here. Especially when you're waiting on the Suji to both players. In fact, that might tempt it out. Indeed, it does come out from Andres' hand, deals into the Yakuhai Door 3 Moncon. Very painful.
Yeah, and just like that, Rachel is in second and above 30k.
And Rachel, pretty happy about that. Does hit her point adversary in terms of the rankings currently. Andres 2 spots above at -43 and Rachel at -71 currently. And we move into South Round. Kristaps' second dealership here. Both Kristaps and Ash are going to have to value these last 2 dealerships quite a lot, even if they do have another game remaining. But at the moment, it looks like this is going to be a cheap, fast hand with the Yakuhai Anko just forming there. Interestingly, this is a thing that we've seen a few times from Kristaps where the penchants go out immediately, but the tune isn't exactly very good either, so I feel like at least if I was in Kristaps' shoes, I would just toss the tune there and keep the penchant until something better came about.
Oh, now, and this might be a something better, could upgrade to Toy Toy perhaps, but it's one of those questions when you're so far behind and, as you're saying, have to value your dealership. You need a bunch of value, but you also need to deal a repeat about 20 times. So some of those are bound to be cheap hands. So you can almost just like win everything all the time as much as possible, and when the expensive hands come, they'll come.
And really, what you really want here is the 3 Shanten Suanko Tankyu, which can happen. That would be the miracle that you need to get above in the standings here. But we have a fast Ishanten to the right. Rachel's hand in Ishanten for the 2-mon, 3-mon, 6-mon, 9-mon, and 1-so. So a decently wide Ishanten there. And would get Pinfu on the 2-mon.
When you read out hands like that, you sound kind of like the Natsuki bot.
Does Natsuki have a voice command or something?
No, Natsuki doesn't have a voice command, but I'm just letting you know that I'm forever going to imagine Natsuki's voice as your voice whenever she gives the readout of this many tiles give at least 5 tile weight. This is what gets you to Tenpai, so on and so forth. And we do have the call.
With the little tile emojis and everything.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. Kristaps calling the 3-pin, so is now Ishan 10 for that Toy that we discussed.
Could also chi the 7-mon for the fast Tenpai. Keeps the 5-mon for now, though. I mean, whether you drop it now or later, you will have a double Suji trap on the 2 8-mon as long as you get a Pon.
Oh, and there's the Richi for Andres, waiting on the 1-pin 8-so.
Ash here, Ishanten pushes the 2-pin in. And no Ipatsu Sumo. We see that weight is actually quite dead. Sorry, half dead, my bad. There's 2 in the discards, but that does leave 2 in the wall. And they're quite difficult to use. Like the 1-pin in particular is a fantastic weight because you see so many 2-pin in all of the... Oh, actually you see all the 2-pin and all of the 3-pins, so it seems very unlikely that people can use it. It might come right out if someone drops it. Sorry, someone draws it. God, I'm really stumbling over my words today.
I mean, words are kind of just a common tripping hazard in general.
Interesting, chooses not to chi into Tenpai there.
But value is very much needed for both Kristaps and Ash, and you're not really gonna have the opportunity to pass that con when it comes up. Does not help at all, though. Ooh, and then that 8-so comes in for the sumo across the way for Andres.
Yeah. So if that chi was taken into Tenpai, actually the sumo would not have gone to Andres, and you would have been waiting on the Genbutsu to the Richi player. but as it is, traded for that Toy Condon, unfortunately, it did pay a little bit for that, though. You can't have known that the draw order had to change for Andres to not sumo and other mystical nonsense like that. Anyway, we go into Rachel's dealership here. One mon is the door, can easily accept that. This looks like a Pinfu hand, though it is a bit slow. Over on the right, we have shapes for what could be a very rudimentary forced Tanyao, though I'm a bit doubtful about that. Across the way, we have a much easier to get Tanyao. It is Ishan 10 for Ryan Peiko, actually. He dropped a 7-8 mon. Oh no! No. It gives it up. Probably just doesn't see it there, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, Rion Peiko is so rare that it's kind of easy to miss. I mean, you could just be thinking, well, here you're probably not even thinking about Chitoy, really.
No, though I feel like these are things you have to see. Like it's a guaranteed upgrade to Tanyo at the very least. Gets a possible. Oh no, it's just a slightly wider Ishanten at the moment. Yeah, unfortunately, I think that was just a mistake there. Can get Sananko now though if you drop the 7 mon. So it's
1
kind of iffy.
Yeah, it tosses the 8 mon instead.
And Ricci swings in from the left. 1-4-so-wait for Ricci Nomi from Kristaps. Not really so sure how this is going to help, unfortunately, in South 2 and 17,600 points.
1
Both the Patsumo and Ura 2 could pay off. We have a chase, though, 4-7 pin for Mentanpin Ipeiko. I like saying that.
Ipeiko only on the 7 pin, of course.
Yes. Which is the only tile left in the wall to draw. There's 2 of those left, and none of the 4 pins are free.
Oh, the Forso comes in first.
But it's going to be Richinomi with no Ura. So only 1,300 there. That does push Kristaps above 20k again, though, so within range of 30k. We go into Andres' dealership. Andres is very close to first place, but everyone is kind of close to first place, other than Kristaps, who has to work a little to get there. Kristaps does take the quick pawn here, though, but has no guaranteed value other than that, so at least to me, that's like a little bit iffy in the current position, and that it's South 3. If you had a dealership left, though, definitely could take that. And look at the dealer's hand here, like, you want that Chanta Sancho Kudora 1. That would be great. Yeah, I guess other than that, on the right, lots of pairs, kind of decently fast hand, and then on the left, Anko of the 5-so. That'll make getting a pair really easy since you have the 4-so as well. Kind of a hand that you're hoping to reachy.
Ooh, another 8 mon. What do you... That 7-8-8-9, it's such a strange bulging shape. In the middle of a hand, they're so useful, but what do you think about that 7-8-8-9 shape?
I don't like it as much as I normally would because all of the other 9 mon are out. So to me, that 8 mon is actually kind of useless. I'd rather toss the 1-so actually, rather than the 4-pin. You can always force the 8 mon to be the pair. Yeah, I'm not really sure. We have a fast reach on the left, so this is a Ricci Tanya.
Will the 3-pin come out? No.
No.
Andres holding on to it.
It's such a precarious position up at the top here. And despite the danger of the Imon being near the Ricci tile, decides to push it anyway since it's a pair to bail from. The 1 mon is going to deal in to Kristaps, though, for this 1,000 point hand we were talking about, but does pick up the Ricci stick for 2,000, so he's a little bit closer to 30k now. This is still anyone's game, to be honest.
Oh yeah, yeah. Something that would be particularly interesting to see is, well, I guess a Hanuman Sumo would almost bring all 3 other players beneath 30k, but that would bring Andres exactly to 30,000. So
right.
Can't quite do that.
Yeah, you would need a Hanuman Sumo with Andres dropping a Ricci stick into the middle, for example. Though I think you can't complain about a Hanuman Sumo, you go right into first place, like so.
Oh yeah, for sure. And here we have Ash really needs to capitalize on this last dealership, and that is a pretty good hand to do it. This is a fantastic Ishan 10, or at least it feels like one to me.
Absolutely, yeah, it looks fine to me too. It's a difficult decision between the 2-pin and the 2-so there because you can get the Ipeco, unfortunately backfires, but 2 of the 1-pin are out, whereas the 2-so, you can draw the 3-so into a 3-sided weight on the 1-4-so and 9-mon, but it's kind of slim pickings as well, really, since you have the 1-so Anko. Yeah, tricky choices.
Yeah, and since you can't open, it makes it hard to compete with hands like Rachel's, which has already called the West and the North. The West, of course, is her seat win, and she's actually sitting with a pair of Souths as well. None of the Easts have been drawn, but I doubt we'd see a show sushi shift.
It is not a cheap hand either. A lot of players associate open hands with cheap hands, but this is a Dora 3 with the North on. So we're looking at a Hanuman class hand.
And we have Tenpai for Andres on the left, waiting for the 3-mon and the 6-mon.
And unfortunately, that 3-mon might come out. Oh,
there's the East!
Wow, are we going to see a repeat of yesterday? Oh no, the second East has died. It's going to make it really unlikely here. And the 3-mon's going to deal with it.
3-mon comes out instead, and well, that'll drop Rachel below 30k.
Unfortunately, I feel like that was a mistake because you see the East twice discarded. I think you just got to give up on the Show Sushi and drop your own East and keep the wider Ishanten that can accept the 1-4-mon. And unfortunately, that mistake does end up dropping Rachel below 30k, like you said. So our final results is Andre in first place with plus 20. We have second place Ash with plus 7.4 and needed positive. Rachel with minus 5.3, still not too bad of a hit. And then lastly, unfortunately, Kristaps with a minus 22. And that's going to really, I think that's going to put Kristaps into last temporarily. This was the third game?
Yeah, that was their third game, and it doesn't quite drop Kristaps low enough to be in last. It's still 22 points ahead of Ash. Unfortunately, needs a 120-point swing approximately with Rachel for Kristaps to get out of demotion territory. So it's always interesting thinking about kind of philosophically how do you play when you know you are demoting? Do you just play? Do you just pretend it doesn't exist? Do you go for Yakuman every hand on the off chance you are able to get a plus 200? Like, it's a hard question.
I misread that score. I saw the 19 as the first two numbers and the 22 as the next two, and it looked a lot closer than it actually was.
It does look like we're going to get all 4 games from this table, which is pretty impressive. They've been super, super fast.
Yeah, these have just been lightning fast games, and I doubt it will change for this game. All right, we have started. East dealer is going to be Andres again,
and can accept the Dora 5-mon. And this is Tushanten, I believe.
Yes, it is a good-looking Tushanten, though. You can pick up the 678 Sanshoku Pinfu. Even if you don't get the 678 Mon, you can get the 5-mon, which is the Dora. Over on the right, we have the Yakuhai pair in decent shapes all around, already in Ishanten for the 2-mon or 2-pin. Across the way, also
another Haku before that happens. So
no,
discards it. The 2 have already been
it's twice dropped. Yeah. Across the way, Easy Ipeco is Ishanten now. Decides to just eat the door right back out.
And Kristaps going Dama, waiting for the 2-pin. Any reasons why that might be the case?
I have no clue. I don't think there's a whole lot that this can improve with. It might just be forcing higher value.
Sumo.
Oh, but gets the sumo.
But if you're forcing higher value, you don't take the sumo there. Yeah, so I'm not sure. Yeah, I might have just been hesitant to take a bad weight. Maybe wants to pawn the Hatsu and take a Tonki, which can change later. That being said, we go into Kristaps' dealership. Immediately draws into the Chuna Anko, drops the Dora West, which has been once discarded by Rachel herself. A little bit surprised because I take Rachel to be a little bit more of a greedy player, but that West came out immediately. Over to the right, we have a Haku pair. Has paired up the 4-so as well now, so can easily start to pawn. 9-mon comes out naturally. Across the way, we have a South pair of 9-so and a couple other shapes. Could progress towards the 3-4-5 Sanshoku, and then over on the left, we have something that might be a Pinzu Honitsu. It's a little far away, and you also have the 2-3-4 Sanshoku chance, even though there's overlap in the lower Pinzu.
Oh, does get the one so to complete that 2-3 shape, so that makes the
Hump.
Honitsu a little bit harder to go for. And the Haku is
Yeah.
going to be called by Ash.
You
Oh, it's
could with...
Genpai now, waiting on 5 so 8 so.
Oh, and there it goes.
Jump.
I was going to make a comment about the possibility for a Pinzu Itsu to the left if you get a pair in the Manzu instead, but just like that, it's over. We actually got a quick glimpse of Kristaps' hand here, which has the Yakuhai Anko, and is currently 2 Shanten, very wide. Dealer's hand has the Anko for 1-mon, can accept the Dora, has decent shapes, and is currently 3 Shanten, but it's very wide as well. Over to the right, we have another decently wide 3 Shanten. Yeah, is 3 Shanten now. Is 2 Shanten now, sorry. And then across the way, how many is this? 1, 2, also 3 Shanten. So everyone's 3 Shanten or closer here. We're gonna have fast hands again.
Each.
Fast Richi 6, 9 pin weight. And this is gonna be Haku Richi Dora 1.
And that's so early. With those discards, do you even consider like any sort of tile reads on the 1 so and 4 peen?
No. It's just a completely normal order, right? The West comes out because it's not your win, the 1 comes out because it's less efficient than the 4, and then the 4 comes out. Nothing you can tell. So I think players are just going to continue to push, especially since everyone has decently fast hands, and that might end up to Rachel dealing in very soon. Or even Andres across the table, though it's less likely now that he can draw.
Each.
Tenpai for the dealer, Ash is going to chase on the 1 so 7 so Shampon.
And that 1 so is Genbutsu to Kristaps' hand.
Though, generally, if players have a choice to defend against one player or another, they're going to defend against the dealer first. So I'm not sure if it will come out. There is only 1 left anyways. But it is a useful tool to be waiting on Genbutsu over another
Jump.
Richi, even if you're in Richi yourself. Especially the 9 pin comes out first. And no Ura for the manga. 52 is very respectable there. Plus picks up the Richi sticks.
Kristaps dealt another pretty wild hand, but is not our dealer.
Right, and this is the hand...
Anko of Wests?
Yeah, this is a hand where you very easily just... Oh, a beautiful draw there. Is Ishanten now for something that's very easily a Hanuman. 3, 4, 5, 6. With a Richi, you get a Hanuman here. And with a Sumo and 1 Ura, you get a Baimon. Big value. Passes that first one there. Aiming for the huge value if possible. Which makes sense given the current positions.
Oh, there's the 6th draw!
What?
Oh, but...
Oh no! I don't know, because the other option is to take the 369 weight, which can give you the Itsu as well. If you reach it, it's a good weight. Nenohon Dora 2 very early on. You can't make any reads on that. Instead, it's going to go for the Dora. If you get the Dora, it's going to be Nenohon Dora 3 East. That'll be Hanuman with 7, but if you sumo the Dora...
Well, no, that is going to be a Baimon. Honitsu, Ton, Sha, yeah. 3 Dora.
Oh, the Sha! Of course.
The Seat Wind, the oft-overlooked Seat Wind. That was, wow, just an absolutely devastating hand to deal into there for Ash, but Kristaps reaping a massive reward.
Yeah, very high scoring first tier. Well, it'd have to be an exception. You'd have to go like over 100,000. But this is a good start.
Yeah, never stop dreaming is what Mahjong is saying right now.
Andres is here, pretty standard run-of-the-mill hand. Kind of bad shapes, reaching only kind of material unless you do something with the night. So Kristaps in Ishanten or Chitoi Dora 2 could, is deciding that maybe I want Suanko. Give yourself that chance.
Oh, do you pull the 9 peen?
You very easily could. And you're guaranteed at least a Mangan here. If you draw the 9 so yourself, and then you sumo, you get a Hanuman with the Sananko.
And that 9 so very easily can come out of Andres' hand here.
Absolutely.
홈,
And it does. Dorapone, Tenpai, the 2-6 for Toy Toy Dora 3 Mangan. And I have to imagine, I mean, I'm sure you would, and I certainly would too, if that 1-2 gets cut by the
Sumo.
dealer with a better shape drawn, iconic,
With the
but the
sumo
Sumo,
first.
2K, 4K, extending the lead even further and creeping towards that 100K.
Yeah, Kristaps just absolutely riding the flow right now. And this is not a bad starting hand either. Already has the Dora locked into the 5-6-7 so shape.
Yeah, this is a fast 2-shanten. You can even call for the tune if you wanted and then stick anything to the 3-so or the Manzu shapes or the 2-so in your Ishanten like now.
홈,
So do you pawn this? Oh, yeah, it does pawn it. You have a decently wide callable Ishanten now. 2-5 Mon, 3-6 pin.
Yeah, I mean, choosing Dora 1 as dealer when you've kind of been rolling as it is, it does not feel like a bad call.
Right, absolutely. Just capitalize on this second dealership. Tenpai, 3-6 pin. No one else looks fast enough to compete.
And we do see 5 of the 3-peen and 6-peen out right now. There's 1 3-peen and 2 6-peen left in the wall.
And this is still a hand that can shift around the weight, because technically this is also a 3-pin tanki if you interpret it as 3-4-5 being completed. So the weight can be changed to a Nobitan or an honor tanki or something mischievous like that if you want to.
Yeah, unfortunately, the 3-peen and 6-peen that are in hands right now are fairly secure.
Yeah,
Oh, we
and
see Ash getting rid of the 5-7-peen shape. What do you think that's about?
Probably just trying to secure good shapes. Did have an overflow of shapes there, I believe.
Had 6 blocks, had to cut 1. Makes
Yeah,
sense. Actually
and
has 6 blocks again, as it turns
yeah,
out.
and you get the 2-3-4 Sanchoku, and then also the 5-pin overlaps with the 2-3 as well, so there's less upgrades. And actually, I was going to say, I think Rachel's decision was even a little more interesting here to drop the 8-9 pin. Despite having the 7 pin in hand that completes the 7-8-9 and having a pair elsewhere. Does draw the 3 pin, but that fits right in. Could Ricci. Decides not to. Would be a Ricci Dora 1 waiting
Sumo.
on the 5-so, which is once Gun's indicator.
Oh,
Sumo
but we're
6
gonna get
pin.
the sumo before that can happen.
Well, relatively cheap hand, but another repeat as the dealer with 64,300 points. Absolutely massive for Akanashi, and another great hand. Already Ishanten. What is this? Look. Oh, wow. And then, yeah, it's going to drop that and can now pawn this out.
Yeah, is now Ishanten and can accept the Dora 3-so, as a matter of fact, which would make this another 2-han hand.
Let's look around the table for a second. I don't really see anything too
Rachel
terribly.
might be the easiest to compete with. Already has the completed 2-3-4 shape in the Sozu, has the pair of Haku. So now with that Ryankan in the Pinzu, has good shapes to finish off, other than the Pinchan and Mon.
Right, and you look at the Yakuhai pawn, you're like, oh, you can just take that, but oh, I guess until this 4-mon draw, wouldn't have had another pair ready. Over on the left, we have a somewhat fast hand as well, 2-shanten. But really, can't compete with a
Home.
dealer Rishanten like this.
Oh, and
actually,
there's the South.
Saki Giris from that Sozu shape, which is very deceptive here. You look at those discards and you're not necessarily thinking that they're waiting on Sozu. Even if the 3-6 is Ida Yonken, which is just a fancy term for when you discard both sides around a Ryanman shape. In this case, the 7-so and the 2-so discard make the 3-6 a little bit more dangerous, but it's so early and inaccurate of a technique that I don't think anyone would pay much attention.
Well, especially with the 5 and the 8 there as well, as you mentioned. Like, if anything, you might be scared of a Pin Honitsu.
Yeah, absolutely. As is, there are 4 tiles left in the wall to sumo for Kristoff. I believe it's 1 6-0 and 3 3-0s.
And the 3-so is the Dora. So the more valuable weight hanging out on the wall currently.
Long.
There
Oh.
is.
Yeah, you gotta discard
What?
one unit. Did Ash not realize that
Oh.
was Dora?
That was a mistake. The 6-0 has to go out there. Unfortunately, that's going to cost. And let the dealer get another repeat. 67,502 Homba. And another hand.
Yakuhai and another Dora in hand.
Yeah, a little bit slower than the previous hands, unfortunately. Decides to keep the Yakuhai kind of trio there to narrow down the opponent's reads if you do end up calling for the other shapes first. And of course, you'd like to pair up another one as well. However, look across the table to Rachel's hand.
Oh, wow.
That is a Chinitsu if I ever saw one.
Yeah, I mean, you can call pretty much anything there, too. Although you have to be careful not to mess up your shapes in doing so.
A good draw here. And this kind of Mongon with the 2 repeats is exactly what Rachel is looking for. To move across 30k.
It is basically the bare minimum to get across 30k. That 8,600 would be just enough.
Which is just a testament to how much damage Kristoff has done so far.
A paired Norse now for Andres on the left.
And unfortunately, this dealership might come to an end because we have an Ishanten to the right for Tanya, which is decently wide and has 2 Dora as well. Could take Tempai, but you'd have to drop the Dora. Decides not to with that 7,500 score point.
Ooh, what about the 8-mon? Yeah, tosses it back.
Yeah, wants to ensure that both Dora can be used if need be. Drawing the 3-mon would be perfect because then you get Riichi, Pinfu, Ippei, Tanya, Dora 2. For a guaranteed Hanuman with a Paimon chance and a Sumo with an Ura or Ipatsu.
Oh, there's another 5-mon though.
Now it's tricky.
Yeah,
but
just shifting to the right, basically.
Each.
Yeah, decides not to chase for the Chitoi, which is, I think, a good choice here because you have a nice double-sided weight now that uses both and still has a chance for Ippei.
Yeah, we see the Riichi on the 7-so and pay for Andres. The pay could come out any second from Rachel's hand, really.
Yeah, the 7-so is quite locked up, though.
Each.
And a chase on the 3-6-mon for that large hand we were talking about earlier. Pay deals in. Oh, it's disappointing. Because for Ash, that would have been almost a comeback hand.
And with the extra Riichi stick that Ash just put on the table, that ends up being enough to get Andres over 30k.
And we go into all last. It is Ash's dealership here. The last chance to kind of jump ahead in the standings. You would need a bit of a miracle, though, and this hand does not look like that miracle, though it is repeat material. Especially if you zoom towards a Tanya. Oh, but there's a Tempai on the left already. Like, this is unreal. 4-so with the Dora Anko. I wonder, actually, if you just Riichi this for the value. Trying to jump higher ahead in the standings. But you could also draw the Aku.
Yeah, the issue is, I feel like if you're really playing for position here, I feel like you can't take the win on the 4-so. You need your best chance if you're not sitting down and writing all the math out on scratch paper is you know that Rachel has to be in last place.
Oh, but it doesn't matter. It's taken anyway. And we go.
Oh wait, that wasn't all last. Oh, that was South 3. I'm sitting here thinking that it's all last and that you have to be more manipulative than that, but that's okay. Because now you have the plus 20 Uma instead of plus 15.
And that's kind of why I was just like, oh, just Riichi. But I get the Damba as well. Trying to force something. All right. Unfortunately, that is Ash's last dealership. So short of like a...
Oh,
we don't even play with double or triple Yakuman, do we?
We do not.
We do not.
No
So, all right.
stacked Yakuman. We do have Kazue, but no stacked.
Do we have multiple?
No.
No. Oh, so I think it's unfortunately GG for Ash here. With a minus 220 deficit, there's no way you're going to get back even with a single Yakuman, unfortunately. If the dealer repeats 3,000 times, then you can maybe hope for a comeback if you're Tenpai every single time, but like that's so unrealistic. I think just gonna have to bow out of this one and stay out of the way of the other players. Korak does believe there are stacked Yakuman actually, but the hand doesn't look like a stacked Yakuman anyway.
I'm still trying to do the math here on how possible it is for Kristaps to overtake. Well, if Rachel wins this hand, it becomes essentially impossible. Waiting on the 3-so 6-so for Richie Tanyao.
See 6 of those, well actually 7 now with this draw. You have to imagine the 1-so comes out first. Or the 2-mon.
Now the 2-mon save.
And yeah, this is a decision to fold because the 1-so is safe against 2 players. Whereas if you toss the 1-so now, it would preserve the hand shape a little bit more. So we're probably just going to see a total fold from Andres here. Doesn't want to fall too far further. Would rather take the small no 10 penalty and then try to get above 30k. 1-mon does become safe though, so the hand does recover a little bit.
I believe that's what Kristaps is doing as well. Also folding, it seems. Ash, on the other hand, taking the Chitoi Richie. So Richie Chitoi waiting on the 17.
Wow, a little bit of a bizarre wait for a Chitoi, but it just might come out. There's 2 left in the wall versus 1 left for the Richie player. Sorry, for the dealer, Rachel.
Dom.
Oh, and that
it's going to
come out first.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, you kind of just can't take that fight there. There's no reason for it. Dealer repeat. Keep closer to 30k. Closer to escaping a penalty. Oh, a little bit of a jump there. Ash is taking that north pawn. Just wants the game to be over. A little bit of a pause on that 1-mon, but dealer can't pawn that at the moment.
Does have one of the Dora 9-mon. Oh, and that 3-pin is a great pickup.
Absolutely. You move into 2 Shanten with that. You can get a 2-3-4 Sanshoku if you're really lucky.
And Rachel can ride the luck streak sometime.
Absolutely. She is a baller when it comes to going for valuable hands. It's really fun to watch.
Ash now E-Shanten with that 8-pin draw. Discarding the 7-9-mon shape.
And Andres is like, okay, let's run away with this. I'm going to call my Atsu. Unfortunately, this isn't a hand that gets above 30k.
There is one.
Oh no, it does with the
does.
Yeah, it's exactly. That's exactly.
And there's
right.
the Richie from Kristaps. A 1-4-7 weight. So we have Richie Pinfu for Kristaps.
There's 9 gons. That leaves 3 in the wall. So the Apatsu chance. Oh, misses.
Yeah, that the Apatsumo would have been absolutely massive for Kristaps.
Sumo.
Oh, the sumo comes though. Huge sumo Pinfu. Two? No, a 713.
So that's going to be an absolutely massive game for Kristaps.
Yes, especially ending everyone under 30k. Kristaps is going to take a plus 62.1.
Yeah,
Andres is going to take -2, Rachel -12, and Ash unfortunately -48 there.
Yeah, the only unfortunate thing here for Kristaps is just that you needed Rachel to be 4th. Switch Rachel and Ash's position, and you actually have an escape from the demotion zone. But even plus 62.1 isn't quite enough. Now you're going to be hoping that Ryan gets hit really hard. Ryan
Yeah,
and Sarah both need to drop below you in the other B1 snaked kind of demotion range matches for you to escape.
and it's a little easier to imagine Sarah doing that, but for Ryan, it would have to be a really big hit.
But as it is, I mean, a plus 65.1, even if you do end up demoting, you have to feel a lot better exiting on that win. Like you feel like, okay, I can take that win into the next season and just like really start charging ahead and get back to B1.
Absolutely. Yeah, sometimes you just need that low game to motivate you. Really well played from Kristaps as well. Because it's one thing to get lucky, but it's another thing to be able to take advantage of that luck and keep things going. A single mistake and you throw all that luck right out the door.
Well, and to be able to push any sort of lead at that table that had so much firepower and people fighting just all the time. I mean, look at Rachel's win rate. Rachel has a 25.2% win rate. To be able to put that together with people at the table like that, you really have to be playing well, like you said.
Yeah. So congratulations to all the players there. Best of luck to the people in the demotion zone. On hoping for some miracle for Ash. Like I know it's not going to happen. I felt like that was very undeserved from Ash. Really good gameplay from them as well.
Oh yeah.
Um, but Kristaps does have a shot at getting out if the stars align as well.
Which there's going to be a lot of people, especially the people who are playing early. Like my games are complete; they have now completed their games. Those are two of the first tables to get done that are relying on other people to play their games. It's kind of interesting just leaving your fate to everyone else. Jeremy in A1 is also in a similar situation where to be league champion for this season, you need you to go negative, basically. Although, even if you were to pass Jeremy, as long as Steve does not also pass Jeremy, Jeremy could still get the next seat at the end of the year league championship table.
Yes, and yeah, that's interesting thing because I believe a lot of the players in A1 are close to where Steve is right now with the plus 80, plus 70 mark. So, but Jeremy also has to hope that those people don't rush ahead. In the case that I fall, it's likely that one of those other three, Steve, Max, or Huang, are going to just jump up ahead. So, yeah, it's a tough position to be in, but it's so exciting.
Oh yeah, all of these matches have been exciting to watch. Like all the way from the very top of A1 to our beta league playoff pools, just absolutely electric mahjong. I mean, you can see that too. We've been casting almost every game. We've been working really hard to get these on screen because we know just how hard everyone is pushing to make magic happen in this final 2 weeks.
All right.
And
With
as
that
a
said,
as a note related to that, we are broadcasting B2 B3 playoff matches tomorrow, which will feature the kind of founder of the American Richie Mahjong League, Edwin, in there. Edwin's run into a lot of bad luck in both this season and the Beta League, so it'll be a lot of fun to hopefully see how everyone's able to play in that match. And
yeah,
Blaine as well, who we've seen on several broadcasts.
yeah, I was just about to ask that. You answered my question ahead of time. Is there anything else that you'd like to get out there?
Well, some other things I would like to get out there is please follow the YouTube channel. You can see all of our VODs there, even once they get taken down from Twitch. Just a very, at this point, incredibly extensive library of Mahjong commentary and footage from all range of commentators, some of which are very, very good, like Eric here, who you should really listen to the things they have to say, especially if you're one of the players in one of these matches and it gets broadcast. It's very helpful to watch them back. I actually listened to the commentary from one of my matches as I drove back from North Carolina today, and it helped me a lot, especially feel better about my kind of bad losses. But that is something you should do. Follow the Twitter, that is at American Ricci. You can go to our homepage. Sign ups for the summer season of the ARML close on Monday, June 20th. So make sure that if you would like to sign up, you have done so by then. If you are not already a member, that is coming very quickly. And I do believe that has already been, yes, that is tinyurl.com/ARMLYT, which you can find from Nightbot in the chat there. Make sure that if you have not already to follow this Twitch stream at American Ricci so that you can be notified whenever we go on stream. And I do believe those are all the plugs we need. Thank you again to Nathaniel for broadcasting this stream. He's been working very hard through technical difficulties to make things happen, and we very much appreciate it.
All right, well, I don't have anything to say either, so I'm going to wish you all a good night and see you again at the next stream.
Yeah, good night, everybody.